So let's start. Good evening, folks. As told by Keval, so there is a slight correction. I just switched to some other company, that is Atidan, and now I'm working with senior software engineer. And I have total 6 years of experience in web development. Apart from that, right now I'm working on SharePoint online on Power Platform as well. And on Microsoft 365, I have made my interest from previous organization as well, and I'm doing quite new. I'm trying out new things on this platform. So regarding our session, so we will talk more about what is adaptive cards and why we should use these adaptive cards in the Outlook, which is known as actionable messages in Outlook. Then if you want to implement this actionable messages in Outlook, then what are the prerequisites for it? Then we will have a full-fledged demo, like how it runs, then what are the prerequisites, and how we can, implement this actionable messages. After the demo, yes, while we are saying this is very great technology or framework to be used, but yes, of course, it comes with some limitations as well that will have some focus on that aspect as well. And then there are references. So instead of wasting more time, we will start with actual session. So the first and a very important question, like what we are going to answer is that what are the adaptive cards? So some of you people may be using these adaptive cards in your day-to-day activities or while doing a development, but there might be some users or the colleagues who have joined this call who are not aware of these adaptive cards. So these adaptive cards are nothing but whenever you want to show short and crisp information about any notification, then you can use these adaptive cards. Apart from notifications, if you want a user to input some input or input some data like a form, that also you can embed inside this adaptive card. And this adaptive card you can send over various on the various platforms. Like on the screen you can see there is on the left hand side you can see the bot framework. So if you are using any Azure bot framework platform, like it can be a Power Virtual Agent or it can be Azure bot framework, then whenever you are having a conversation with the user, at that time you can use these adaptive cards to send short and crisp information, right? So as I said about the bot framework, you can see you must have aware of Microsoft Teams and the application development on Microsoft Teams. Like there are such applications which are built by Microsoft, like Company Communicator or FAQ Plus Bot is there, right? Which uses this adaptive card to send notification or to send information. Then also we can use the same on Outlook as well as on the Windows timeline also. And the most important factor of this adaptive card is that it doesn't require any sort of coding as such. It is just a declarative language, and it gets represented in the form of JSON. We will have a look into that when we go further. But for a time being, you can just understand that adaptive card is nothing but a simple a card where we can put short and simple information. Apart from showing information, we can use the same card to accept data from the user as well, right? So how it looks like. So on the left hand side, you can see a sample adaptive card. So whenever there's a new opportunity created in the Salesforce or in any other sales application, this particular card can be sent to the user, and he can submit the details or he can update the details on the same card, right? And as we as shown you that this card can be used across multiple applications or multiple platforms, uh, and the user experience which you get is a consistent across multiple platforms, so which adds a more value uh, to this. Apart from that, this particular adaptive card, it's at the back end, it's just a JSON, right? So when the renderation happens or whenever this card gets shown on the platform, on Teams, on Outlook, right? It gets rendered by native coding language. So we can write our own code or we can use HTML, JavaScript to render the components. So it gives a very fast performance. It's, as I said, it's very easy to implement. Then it's a purely declarative language, so there is no coding is required. And again, it's an open source, so we can add more contributions to this. And this is a full-fledged application or framework designed by Microsoft itself, right? So let's focus, or let's go more into how we can create the adaptive card. And then as a next part to this, why we should embed, or why we should use this adaptive card within Outlook, that question, or we'll check that later, right? So let's go and see how we can go and design this new adaptive card. Let me go to the browser. So this is a link for it, like adaptivecards.io/designer. So you can see, I'll just go refresh the page. So yeah, on the screen, you can see there are various samples which are already created on this site. And you can see publish adaptive card schema, right? So if you want to give an update, like about the flight, that okay, this particular flight from Amsterdam to San Francisco, this is a flight and the status of this flight is delayed. So this is an adaptive card which I was talking about. So this is just a notification. And also, as I said, like we can give an input form in the adaptive card itself. So this is another one example. Like you can just you can ask user to put his name, email address, and phone number, and you can ask him to submit. Or you can just give an notification like, okay, this is stock update, right? So you can think of any of the use case which you want to share it with the users, and uh, this particular card can be used. So let's take one more example of the expense report, where you can form this information in the form of JSON. And you can show some history, whatever history, and you can ask him to approve or reject. And if this is reject, then you can ask him user to input the comments or the message, and you can user can click on the submit button, right? So we'll go deep down to this, like how we can create this adaptive card from scratch. And let's see how it goes. So in the previous step, I have already opened this designer, and on the left hand side you can see I can click on the new adaptive card. And see, we have an option to upload an image, and we can generate an adaptive from that. Or you can start with any of the starter kit, so it will be very easier for you to get started with this. But for this demo purpose, let's create a blank try to create a registration form from a blank screen, or from a blank from a blank card, right? Apart from that, on the right hand side, you can select what is the host application, right? So this particular card is going to get hosted on one of the platforms like Bot Framework or Outlook Actionable Messages, which we are going to see in detail. Then there's a Microsoft Teams, Cortana, Windows Timeline, Cortana Skills, and Windows Notification as well, right? So let's start with we'll start with the Bot Framework web chat only, because this adaptive card is just a generic framework, or this is a framework which we can use in multiple platforms, right? So we'll start with this Bot Framework web chat, and we'll try to create a registration form over here. So on the left, on the see, this is the host application. Then we have documentation, like regarding how to generate this document, or how we can get started, what are the different components in adaptive card. So all this information you can find out in this documentation section. We can copy the payload, we can preview. And on the right hand side, of course, we can see what are the target versions. So we have right now we have selected 1.3. Okay, we can go with any of the targeted version. So whenever it started, initially it started with 1.0, and the latest version for the adaptive cards is 1.4. Apart from that, is help, and we can ignore this. On the left hand side, again, you can see various card elements. So we have a container, then image set, fact set. So you can just go and explore about these components. So container, it's like we we all are developers, right? So we know what is mean by container. Let's say if we are building a component or a div by using Bootstrap, where we use a row class, then call MD3, 4, 6, right? And then so we divide that one column to multiple to 12 columns or to 3 columns, 2 columns, depending on the requirement. Similarly, we can create a container as a row, and we can add multiple columns inside that. And inside these columns we can put our content. We can put a text box, image, media, or buttons, or on the inputs side you can see text, date, time picker, a number, a choice set, which is nothing but the radio or um, a drop down. Then we have input toggle as well for a checkbox, right? So and on the below you can see a card payload editor. So whenever we are adding any component to this adaptive card, we can see this card payload editor getting populated with the new components. So let's start with the container. Then we can add a column set. So in a row we added call MD, uh, and let's try to add more columns. So let's say we want 2 columns over here, right? So I clicked on this icon, and on the JSON on this side a card structure where you can see a container, inside that a column set and these 2 columns. So it's very easy to create any sort of adaptive card. If you start with the any sample adaptive card, then it's become very easier for you to get started. So let's say text box. Let's put it as a registration form, right? And here are the other properties of this text box. We can of the text box, like we can provide ID, then spacing, then separator. What is the height? Let's say then we have font style, then size. Let's say we want it to make it more bigger, right? Then we can choose a color. So there are not many customization options, but yeah, it so uh, as I said, it's very short and crisp information. It is not full-fledged CSS design, but it has a decent set of features which we can use it for the any real case scenario or any user real world example, right? And let's say we put our company name on the right hand side. Let's drag and drop over here, and I put company name, and I will make it as a horizontal aligned, right? Okay, and let's add one more container. I'm going a little fast over here, and add a column set again. I add column. We need 2 columns. Let's say a text box, a name, right, and a input text. So here you can see this is a text box, and for a text box we'll put txt name. So this is the ID to this text box, right? And then we'll go and we'll add, let's say from here I copy this. So here again we'll go with the container, add column set, 2 columns, right? And let's say a choice. So here we can add more data, choice 1, choice 2. And if you want to see the preview, we can, let's add one button over here at the bottom, column set, column, and then action set. Now you can see add an action. So there are 4 types of different actions we can add. As I said, this adaptive card is just not just for sending a notification, it also can accept your data from the user, right? Apart from accepting input, that is nothing but submitting this form or submitting this adaptive card. It has ability to open, like to give a redirection, a hyperlink kind of a button where we can click and we can open a new URL. We can submit this form, or we can show a new card inside the same card. It's like a hide and show of the elements. And then toggle visibility, like it is like this action is nothing but you can toggle the visibility of some block. So let's say if you want to create a form wizard, and on click of next button you want to show some other information, then on click of previous you can want to show previous information. That is something you can use or you can implement by using toggle visibility. So for now let's add a submit button, and let's change the property, like just change the text. Okay, submit. Okay, and we can put the style as positive, and again this destructive means a secondary button which we know. And let's try to, if we want to see how it works, this we need to add. So it's showing me the validation, all input must have unique ID, so we should give some ID to this. Let's say choice. Okay, and let's click on preview button. Yeah, so name and then choice one, choice two, I can click on submit button. And once I click on submit, I get this payload, right? So this is a very simple adaptive card, I'll say. We'll add just text over here. Let's say city. And this is like a choice for the city, city one, city two, Mumbai, Pune. So when we see these values, we can select Mumbai and this. So this is a very basic adaptive, just to get an sense of how we should use the elements and a structure. What is the structure of this adaptive card? It's like starts with adaptive card, then we have a container, right? Then again one more container for name, then sit for container for city, and then last container for buttons. So these are the four containers. Inside each of the container, what are the different components inside that? So column set and one more column, text box and column, right? So this is very basic structure of this adaptive card, and this is the final JSON adaptive card JSON which we get. So we can just copy it and we can use it in any of the application. Okay, so anyone on the call who has doubts, like what is adaptive card, or are we clear with this? I think you should be, right. So okay, so if okay, so now we know what is an adaptive cards, and what is the structure of it, and why this is a good framework to be used, right? Now, why we should, let's go more into our topic, or topic for this session is that actionable messages in Outlook. So what are the actionable messages? Actionable messages is nothing but an adaptive card embedded inside the email body, often inside the Outlook, right? So Outlook is an email client, and inside that what we are doing, we are going to send an email to the users, and inside that email we are going to send this adaptive card, right? So what will happen, or what are the use cases, or what are the benefits of doing it, and why we should use this particular technology, or why we should use this, right? So let's take an example of HR sending an survey to all the employees, right? So what used to happen is that, let's say we are getting an email from the employee engagement team that to to register for a particular event, or let's say there is some other survey which is going to happen in the company. Then user will have to click on the email, click on the link provided. Then the link will get opened in one of the browser, let's say Chrome, and user will enter all the information and he will click on the submit button. After submitting a form, he has to close that tab and again come back to the Outlook, right? So that there is a context switching happening, and there are at least 5 to 6 clicks are happening, right? So because of which user gets distracted to some other application, or while opening a Chrome browser he may think of some other work, or some other task is opened inside a browser. So instead of switching this applications or multiple tabs, or to avoid these multiple clicks, we can use this particular actionable messages, right? So it reduces number of clicks at large, and again it's a consistent user experience, and it's very easy to for a user just to open an email and to submit the form. That's it. He don't have to go to multiple screens, multiple clicks, nothing. So now with these very helpful information, or with these advantages, we can reimagine our day-to-day tasks which we do by just by clicking in notification, then going back to the application and seeing, okay, what has happened, right? So that is something is very we can think of use cases for this. Okay, let's say we have a SQL Server, and which gets filled with the data, and let's say it starts, or it reaches to the 90-95% of utilization, then we should get an email. So let's say it gives an email to us, and in that email itself it has a link to upgrade the data, or to visit Azure's portal directly with this. So we can think of those actions. And in the legacy applications, or in previously, what used to happen is that Outlook was used as an just to acknowledge people, like, okay, this is something, or this something is happened in this particular area. But now people wants more, like, okay, this is the notification, but now what's next after that? So people will like to have some action against that. So what is the action? Then this is the action. Okay, if you have XYZ happened, event which has happened with these actions, then user can take PQR actions on it, and then he can take these actions on, and there and there itself. He don't have to visit multiple screens or multiple UIs for that. So this is the very important thing, why we should use actionable messages, right? So let's say we are clear with the adaptive cards, and why we should use it within the Outlook. Now the next question, of course, comes in our mind, like, okay, now how we should implement this, right? So I have noted down some basic 5 steps for it. So I have implemented this adaptive card. I have a demo prepared for that. I'll show you. But before showing going to for a demo, we should know, okay, these are the prerequisites for it. So the what are the prerequisites? Very simple. You just go to actionable email developer dashboard and register for yourself. Okay, and there it is a form. I'll show you what is that form, and what are the scope, and what are the details we should mention over there. And once we register, we get an originator ID, and which can we should use while designing the adaptive card. Then once we register our application on this email developer dashboard, we have to design the adaptive card. Okay, the what in exact information I want to send it over the Outlook, right? And then we have to incorporate this adaptive card JSON in the email body, right? And then the send the email to the user. And then when if there is any action, right? So adaptive cards are two types, like sending a notification and having some action against it. So if there is any action, then we have to process that particular action. So what here we are talking about is, we will create a platform, or a platform where we can allow users to input the data. Then what we should do as a developer of that data is completely developer independent. So I have taken very small same use case to show this, right? So we'll go to the demo first. But the one of the very important thing we should consider while designing all of these adaptive cards is that is about the security considerations. So what are the different security considerations we should be doing whenever we are implementing this? So there are two phases to it. Like, one phase, I'll come to security phase after the demo, so that you will have, okay, what it is doing exactly and how. And then I will show you, or I'll will discuss more on that later after the demo. So but for this point in time, we should be very clear on, first we have to send an email, so that is nothing but a send phase. And whenever user clicks on the submit button, then we have to do something, and that is nothing but action processing phase. Okay, so if we are clear with this prerequisites, let's start with the demo, and I'll show you how it works. Okay, so before moving to the demo, any doubts, if you can unmute yourself and you can ask, or else I'll directly start by showing you how it works. Okay, so anyone?
Mayur, we have few questions, but we can take it at the end of the session if you want,
Okay, great.
or else we can take it right away.
So are they in the chat messages, or how it is?
Yeah. Those are in the chat messages.
I'll just go through the question so that if this can be. Is the target
Uh,
version of
yeah.
Yeah, I think we should take it at
Yeah.
the end of
Sure.
the
Sure.
session.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, folks, you are working on Microsoft 365 platforms. So, you must be knowing about Power Automate, right? So, where we are, so what I'm doing in this demo is that I'm going to send a quick poll to the employees and to the user, and he is going to submit this poll, and I'm capturing the response and I'm saving it to the SharePoint list. So there are three steps. First step is to send actionable message, then receive this actionable message, and third is to save the captured information within SharePoint list. Okay, so just for the demo purpose, I am taking very basic example. So first I'll show you the output, and then we'll drill it down to step by step. Okay. Yes. Okay, great. So on the screen, okay, you can see a quick poll. So this is one of the adaptive card, and there's a button show info. Then where we should host the conference. So we have a couple of options over here. Then any suggestions to this. Then there's a view details option and submit button. So as I said earlier, there are various types of actions which we can do, like view details. If I click on this, it opens one of the URL. So it just a you know just a button to open a tab or open a new URL in the in a new in the new browser. Okay, browser tab. And let's say I'm going I have not selected any of the option from this, and I'm just trying to submit it. Yeah, please select an option. So it gives me a error message by saying, hey, user, you need to submit this. The show info, it's like just like a toggle, like whenever I'm clicking on the show info button, it shows take 2 minutes to help us to plan the upcoming event. So this is like a toggle button, right? And now I'm selecting this information, let's say Elton, and any other suggestion would be, um, let's say a Pune, because I'm from Pune, and I'm clicking on submit button. Yeah, that's it. So whenever I'm submitting this information, it the adaptive card gets updated itself, and it shows what I have given as a response. Okay, now if we go to SharePoint list, and you can see this record, Hilton Pune. This is my email address, and created a few seconds ago. So this is like a uh, SharePoint list item which got created after this. So it can be, so as I said, like getting an input from the user, it's the job of actionable messages. Then about once you get the response, then what to do with that data is something which use case will define, right? Now let's drill it down to more detailed steps, right? As I said, let's go back to the presentation. And here, as I said, first we will have to register an application on Actionable Email Developer Dashboard. So this is nothing but the Actionable Email Developer Dashboard. Okay, and here you can see AM Demo is an application which I have already registered. So I'll click on New Provider. Here, something we need to give some information. Let's let a friendly name, and this is nothing but the originator ID. And this ID is very important if we want to send this adaptive card or actionable message to the colleagues or to the global scope. I'll come to that point later. Then organization information, this is my tenant ID and tenant information. Then from which sender ID we are going to send an email to. So this would be my email address, or if we are sending any emails from any service account, then we should mention here. Then we can put multiple email addresses. Let's say if we are So as we saw in the demo, that whenever we are clicking on a submit button, something is happening, and it is saving data to the SharePoint list, right? So there must be one targeted URL. So if in our adaptive card, if we're using 4 to 5 different target URLs, then we should mention over here by using regex, right? And I'm not going to create a new provider over here because I have already created, but I'm just showing you how to do it, right? Then public key, this is like a public key. If we want to send it signed card, then what is the scope of the submission, right? So if we want to use uh, adaptive card inside our organization for the test users, let's say if we are doing it for the test users, then we don't have to worry much, like, because this particular submission gets auto approved. Let's say if we are we want to send this adaptive card within our organization, then organizations exchange administrator. So whenever we are clicking on submit button or save button, a requisition mail gets sent to the organization's exchange administrator, where he has to go and approve this submission, and then only you can use this provider ID in your adaptive card, and you can start using these actionable messages. And then there is a global option, right? So this global option is nothing but if, let's say, there are two different organizations which are under using Office 365, right? So if you want to send email to those users as well, as in global scope, you can register here, and you have to provide multiple or many publisher information scenario, under which scenario we are going to use this, what is the load of that, and screenshots, what is the card information, everything we will have to submit it to Microsoft. And of course, this particular service has to get registered to the Microsoft. Then and then only we will be able to use it to send actionable messages over the global scope, right? It takes 2 weeks time to to get it approved. So if you are planning to do something like this, you should be doing it with uh, having prior time to yourself, and additional information if you have chosen organization. So this is where you need to first register your application. And just a recap, file submitting this application, we have three scopes: test users, where we doesn't require any sort of approval. We can mention to whom we are going to send this adaptive card to, and we can start using it just for a dev practice. As I have the application which I have registered is the same only, right? Then we have organization. Whenever we are want to submit or send actionable messages within our organization, then we should use this option. And whenever we are submitting this, exchange administrator will get an email for approval, and he has to approve on that. And there is a global, where we want to send it across multiple organizations who has Office 365 Outlook. And uh, uh, then we have to register our service with the Microsoft, and it has a set of more considerations which we should be doing. And then we can go for this global scope, right? Let's see. We have done this process, and we can see this aim demo as an account, and this is my provider ID. And so what is my sender address? Okay, Mayur at parichit.onmicrosoft.com, and scope is test users, right? So I'm submitting it to two of the users. That's it. So let's say we have registered this new as a new provider, and then let's see what is the next step. So next step is to just to design a adaptive card. uh, Now, if we want to design this adaptive card, earlier I had shown you one of the card in the designer mode, right? Name and the city, right? So similar user interface we can get to design the actionable messages, right? Because in the actionable messages there is a separate version or separate tools are used. And this particular designer is used for the designing actionable messages, and the other one, or the previous one, is for the adaptive cards. And on the top we can see this actionable message also, so you can design your card here also, there is not a problem. But we'll just go with the a specific tool made for designing actionable messages, right? So let's say uh, we'll refresh this page. Okay. Now you can will so we and the previously we have already created a web adaptive card with as a blank card, and now we will start with the existing card. Let's say I'll click on the poll. So it's the same poll you can see on the screen, right? So if I click on edit payload, adaptive card and container, right, everything is similar. I have taken the same example, and now let's say we have for the as a we have a time crunch. We'll start a step ahead, like we are not designing this adaptive card from scratch. We'll take existing sample, and let's say we want to send this adaptive card, right? So there are few considerations or few things which we need to add explicitly. What are those? So I have noted down separately in text in the text file, is that we need to add more properties to this, like so this is a pure adaptive card, right? You can see so there are what like body, inside body there is a container, then there's emphasis, and there's a text box. So there's a text box the which says a quick poll, right? So I'm not going to show you. Let's not go in detail of this uh, adaptive card. Let's go just see what are the things we should be doing it in terms of, once we design this adaptive card, then how we should incorporate this adaptive card to the as an email body. Okay, so we should be adding these two pointers, like hide originator original body to true and originator id. So we are going to hide out of box email body by default, and originator id. So this particular originator id is the same which we get from that email dashboard, right? Email developer dashboard. So make sure we have this particular id added. Then once we are done with this, then okay, so this is very important, action set, right? So on this card you can see the submit button, and on the submit button you can see the url. So this is written as www.microsoft.com, and the body, what is the body while we send this, right? So we will have to make changes to this. Okay, what are the changes? We will have to add these two headers. So header name is content type, which is and content type json. So it's, so you must be knowing ajax call or http call to the server. So this is the same thing, right? So we'll go and click on add new header. Header one would be content type, and value would be application object JSON, and a new header. Second header is just an authorization. Now let's complete this and I'll come to the security point of it. Okay, so these are two headers which we added, and in the URL, so this is nothing but the URL of my flow. Copy inside the URL, just paste. That's it. Okay. Now in the payload, what I did is that I have added one more attribute as in from address Mayur at the rate. So I'll just copy this and I'll paste it inside the body. Let's not do it, like let it be. Then is primary true. That's it. So my adaptive card is ready. Okay. So in the actions, we have added this header as an authorization and the content type as an application object JSON. Okay, then you just have to copy this JSON and inside send actionable message, just edit it and put this content inside this HTML body. Now whenever we want to create an email body, so whenever we send an email, we can send the email via any of the platform. It can be SPV, it can be C# application, it can be CLI, or it can be anything, right? So whenever we want to send an email, we create a HTML body of it. Then you can see HTML start, HTML end, and head. Inside header, we have added content type as text oblique HTML UTF with UTF-8 as a character set. And here it is very interesting point to be noted, right? Script type is application oblique adaptive card plus JSON. So this is very important. And inside this, what we are going to do is that we are going to paste our adaptive card JSON. So this is my JSON which I just copied from that. Okay, that's it. So we are done with this, like with this email body. These are the only things which we should be considering or we should keep in mind. And this is the body. Okay, default content, what we want to show it, right? So uh, uh, in the email, let's say your client is not compatible of understanding this adaptive card, then this default message gets rendered. Okay, so I'll just copy this and I'll create a separate flow. Okay, or I have already created this flow. You can see it's a manual trigger, and inside send an email, I have configured my email address, subject as amdebo, let's say v1, just to differentiate between two emails, and it's the same email body. You can see, right? uh, Originator ID, then head original body as true, then this ID, then body, and then body. That's it. So this is the same email address or same JSON which I have already copied. So I will not do it again, and I will start click on the submit button. So this is very this is for the send phase. So as a security point of view, if we are using this actionable email, then of course we need to enable the sender verification. And apart from that, this service has to get registered with the Microsoft, and the action URL, it must be an HTTPS, right? So where we are going to put an action, so the action URL is nothing but the this one, right? Target URL, and which is HTTPS, right? So what is the sender verification? Let's say we are sending this email from the Microsoft 365 email server. So all the security checks for the as an part of send email sender gets verified on the first place itself. So uh, we don't have to worry as such, right? And there is a secret processing phase, like whenever we are handling or we are creating an API. We'll come to that um, later. First, we'll run this flow. Okay, let's check. I'll receive an email. Okay, so it's the same email. Then text. Submit. So let's say what happened with this. Okay, which all information which we captured from the action URL. Let's see the run history. So your flow ran successfully. So whenever an HTTP request is received, so this is the same email or the URL which I put in the action. And here you can see, and to show more, I will put on raw outputs. So here you can see there is one more header which got added automatically, is the action dash authorization with bearer, and this is my token, right? Access token. So what happened, or what is this, or how it got generated? As we are while creating this, I'll go to, yeah, here inside this we have kept the authorization header as a blank. It gets replaced with the action dash authorization header type, so that we can cross check with this ID, or what is this token or JWT token. We can cross check, okay, which user has selected this option, so that we know this request has came from the authorized user, and it is not from any other user, right? And inside the body we got option W downtown. So I guess a text is a text, and this is the hard coded value which we have put in the payload. So you can ignore other fields, but you should be knowing about this, right? Message ID and the action authorization. So this is very important when it comes to security considerations. Apart from that, if it is also recommended by Microsoft, is that whenever we are creating a action URL, which is nothing but this, right? We can add our own parameter or secured token here itself. These are the tokens or parameters added by the flow itself. But let's say we have, for an example, I'll show you. Let's say if we have URL like my server. Let's say https://myserver.com/api/handle question mark token or one time token is equal to something like this, and we can identify from this particular token is that okay, this particular token is for which user, and is it a valid or invalid. We can do it at the server side. So these checks we can do it with the API side of it, right? Or so this is something which is very important when it comes to the security part of it, right? And then once we get this information, we have applied one condition. We are checking if the option is blank or not, and then if it is not blank, then we are sending a response with status code as 200. And also we are sending one more header, is that card update in body, that is set to true, and updated card. So what is the updated card? I'll copy this information. I'll show you what is this. Okay. See, thank you for your response and W downtown test. So this is nothing but adaptive card which I have generated inside a flow, and I'm showing it on the email. So as a response to this action, I am posting this particular JSON. Where it is, where I'm posting this JSON, and that is the reason we are able to see the updated JSON, right? And previously, if you have noticed that we perform validation over there, how we are doing that validation is that we are checking whether the option is blank or not, and if it is a blank, then we are simply passing status code as 406 and headers with card action status as please select an option. So we can customize our own validations or verifications with this as well. So this is like a we started with very sample or simple form, and then we made it very complex just for this demo purpose. And then we can think of any other use cases like apart from this poll or survey. Let's say you have some legacy application where for going to that particular screen takes 4 to 5 different clicks. Then you can just create a automated task, or you can write a flow, or you can write a C# code to generate this kind of adaptive card, and you can share it on the teams, or you can share it on the Outlook via actionable messages. And you can ask users to simply put some status or change some status, or you can perform any other operations which specific to your use case. So yeah, so this is it about how to receive actionable message. So if we go to our prerequisites, so we did registered application, then we designed adaptive card, we incorporated adaptive card just in email body with the help of originator ID, then action changes to the action. Um, then we send an email and we process that particular action. About the security, I told you that we can create our own token for identifying individual user or individual user, and we can consider that. Apart from that, there is a separate document published by Microsoft, which all things we should consider while implementing this. You can go through that document, and it is with me, right? So now let's say you understood how it works, and what are the prerequisites, and how we have implemented this adaptive card. Then of course it's very good, or having said that, it is very easy to use and simple, cost effective, and all that. But there are certain limitations also, which before thinking of any use case, you should be very keen on this. Okay, and you should be knowing about these limitations as well. So this is the first and the very important, is that it is compatible with only Outlook 365, right? What do I mean by that? If you want to send it to your Gmail account, then it won't work, because it works within the context of the Outlook, and Outlook hosts the adaptive cards. That is the reason we are able to perform the actions within, right? And then apart from that, there are different set of controls we have seen in the designer, which are very limited. Like if you want to create any new adaptive card, then, or any new form, right? So with these limited input tools, you will have to consider. Let's say if you want a people picker or color picker, so which are very advanced controls nowadays, right? Or which are very basic also to design any simple use case, which is not there as of now. But of course, if you want a people picker, then you can use email address in that case to enter it within the text box, and you can put some validations if the text box accepts input as an url or as an email, like this. So that is something you can consider in this. So let's say I'll show you here. You can select spacing required, error message, action type, okay. So you can put the validation as well. So in a style, you can put okay telephone number, URL, or email address, and you can perform the validation at the server side. Yeah, with the pattern in this section you can see, right. So this is how you can use. Or it's like a workaround for this, but it is not directly supported as such. Apart from that, let's say if you want to implement something like a cascading drop downs, let's say on the selection of country India, then you want to populate state, then you want to populate cities depending on state. It is not possible, or it is very difficult to implement with the adaptive cards. Then if you want to send an encrypted payload in an encrypted format, let's say there is a requirement for that, then it is very difficult, because you know that the payload which we are sending, it is very static in nature. So here you can see in the run history, the payload which we received as an inside the API is very raw. Like there is no for processing is done here. View raw outputs here. So inside the body, we are directly getting this data. So encrypting is very difficult over here. Then it's very developer dependent. So let's say if you want to give it to non business users, or the um, we who don't have access to the coding as such, then they can just design the adaptive card the way they want. But if they want to implement and send the adaptive same want to send the same adaptive card in the email, then it would be very difficult for a business user. There has to have a developer involvement, or there has to be one system which is designed, which will get the adaptive card json from one of the repository, process it, and then it will send, right. So it involves developers attention more. And apart from that, let's say they want to submit some multiple actions, right. So the creation of the APIs. So and I will say the configuration part of it, like backend and backend compatibility, or backend configuration and front end configuration, is very important, which it's very important, and has to get designed properly. So these are some of the limitations of using these adaptive cards, or using these actionable messages, which I have come across. And uh, trust me, like the Microsoft team is working very hard to add more controls to it, to add universal actions that they have come up with in the Microsoft Build 2021. So there are a few more things would be coming shortly. But yes, these as of now, or as of today, these are some of the limitations you can consider, right. Then these are some of the references which I have used for design or creating this demo. And yeah, like with this, I can say that okay, I had demoed you like how to implement this and all that, and you can share your feedback on this URL. Yes, and now I think I have exceeded few minutes. Keval, can we start with the question answers now, and then I can